being a top gastroenterologist in the paediatric sphere, what are the differences in IBD between children and adults, Richard?
I mean, I think you'll see some of them, yourself, you'll have experience of that. I guess what we've seen in children over time is the number of children being diagnosed has gone up dramatically. And, we're lucky enough to have records going back to the late 1960s and being able to look at every year since then about the number of children diagnosed with inflammatory bowel disease, and have really been able to track the rapid rise, particularly in Crohn's disease, but in IBD overall. So coming up to 12 times higher than it was in the late 1960s compared to now. So a huge and very rapid rise. I think, what we know from our tests and, when we first started to work with adult services at the Western General in Edinburgh, we decided to look at, how does it affect within the bowel Crohn's disease and colitis in children and in adults. And what we showed very clearly was more of the bowel is affected in children compared to adults. So in children, the normal pattern of Crohn's disease is that it affects many different places in the bowel. So the large bowel, the small bowel, the stomach, that's common, really uncommon in adults. So to kind of give numbers, 40% would be children like that, 3% would be adults is what we find. So
that's quite
fundamentally, that makes a huge difference in terms of our treatments and in terms of things like surgery. So surgery is more common in adults because they have one part of the bowel affected. But if you're a child with many different parts, there isn't a solution to take one part out and make you better because you've still got those other parts going on. So fundamentally, the disease the word we would use is more extensive, so involving more of the bowel. And the same is true for colitis. So in adults with colitis, it often just affects the first part of the large bowel, so the kind of first third. Whereas in children, it usually affects the whole thing. So it means symptoms and treatments and everything, all stem from that.
Wow. And I suppose, I know, I'd be confident you don't know the answer to this, but I need to ask it anyway. Why such a huge rise?
Is
that the $1 million question?
That's the $1 billion question. So